by Russian Defense Ministry on progress of special military operation. The armed forces of the Russian Federation carried out one massive and 5 group strikes with high-precision weapons and attack drones, which hit enterprises of the Ukrainian defense industry, infrastructure of military airfields, depots storing weapons and ammunition, testing areas for tactical missiles, production and storage sites of attack unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries. During the week, the Sever group of forces continued to rout AFU units in Kursk region. In the course of active offensive actions, Oleshnya, Kursk region, has been liberated. Aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicles, and artillery fire hit manpower and hardware of 1 tank brigade, 3 mechanized brigades, 3 air assault brigades, 1 assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade. In Belgorod and Kharkov directions, the Russian troops hit elements of 3 mechanized brigades, 1 motorized infantry brigade, 1 air assault brigade, 1 assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, as well as 3 territorial defense brigades. In a week, over 1,320 militants have been neutralized in the area of responsibility of the Sever group of forces. 2 tanks, 23 armored fighting vehicles, including 1 HMMWV armored fighting vehicle and 1 U.S.-made Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, 55 motor vehicles, 7 MLRS launchers, 50 field artillery guns, 8 electronic warfare stations, and 5 ammunition and material depots were neutralized. As a result of resolute actions of the Zapad group of forces, Novomikhailovka, Donetsk People's Republic, has been liberated. The Russian troops inflicted losses on enemy manpower and hardware of 6 mechanized brigades, a Jaeger brigade, an assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade. The enemy losses amounted to more than 1,535 troops, 3 tanks, 11 armored fighting vehicles including a HMMWV armored fighting vehicle, 2 U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carriers, and a Turkish-made Kirpi armored fighting vehicle. 2 MLRS launchers, 38 motor vehicles, 19 field artillery guns including 3 NATO-made guns, 11 electronic warfare and counterfire stations as well as 16 ammunition depots, were neutralized. Servicemen of the Yug group of forces liberated Shevchenko, Sukhaya Baka, and Tarasovka, Donetsk People's Republic. Russian units hit 5 mechanized brigades, 2 assault brigades, a motorized infantry brigade, an airmobile brigade, an air assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, 3 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade. Over the past week, Ukrainian armed groups have suffered losses of over 2,065 militants, 3 tanks, 31 armored fighting vehicles including 2 U.S.-made HMMWV armored fighting vehicles and 3 U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carriers. 2 MLRS launchers including a U.S.-made HIMARS MLRS, 60 motor vehicles, 31 field artillery guns were eliminated including 8 Western-made, 7 electronic warfare stations, 17 ammunition, fuel, and supply depots. The Center group of forces liberated Bogdanovka, Donetsk People's Republic. Russian troops engaged manpower and hardware of a heavy mechanized brigade, 3 mechanized brigades, 2 assault brigades, an airmobile brigade, a Jaeger brigade, an unmanned aerial vehicles brigade, an assault regiment of the AFU, 2 Marine brigades, a territorial defense brigade, and 2 National Guard brigades. The enemy losses were more than 2,345 troops, 2 tanks, 20 armored fighting vehicles including a HMMWV armored fighting vehicle, a U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carrier, a German-made Marder IFV, and a French-made VAB armored personnel carrier. Moreover, 30 motor vehicles and 11 field artillery guns were destroyed. Elements of the Vostok group of forces continued advancing into the depth of enemy defense. Russian elements damaged 2 mechanized brigades, a Jaeger brigade, an airmobile brigade, an air assault brigade, an unmanned aerial vehicles brigade of the AFU, a Marine brigade, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade. The AFU losses amounted to more than 990 troops, 2 tanks, and 16 armored fighting vehicles, including a U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carrier. 39 motor vehicles, 16 field artillery guns, 4 of which were manufactured by NATO countries, and 3 electronic warfare stations have been eliminated. The Dnieper Group of Forces units took more advantageous lines and positions. The Russian armed forces inflicted losses on manpower and hardware of 2 mechanized brigades, 2 artillery brigades, 3 coastal defense brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades. The AFU lost more than 505 troops, a tank, and a Turkish-made Kirpi armored vehicle. 41 motor vehicles, 10 field artillery guns, 18 electronic and counterfire warfare stations, as well as 9 ammunition depots have been neutralized. Over the past week, air defense units have shot down 31 JDAM guided aerial bombs and 12 HIMARS MLRS projectiles, 4 Czech-made Vampire MLRS projectiles, as well as 993 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. Since the beginning of the special military operation, the armed forces of the Russian Federation have neutralized 661 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 53,585 unmanned aerial vehicles, 605 anti-aircraft missile systems, 23,035 tanks and other armored fighting vehicles, 1,553 MLRS combat vehicles, 24,098 field artillery guns and mortars, 34,582 units of support vehicles,